Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Alright, I left off in the last video covering the economy. I had like 45 articles or something. I was trying to get into 15 minutes and it just didn't happen. So this will be kind of like a part 2 economy video. I left off with this one. Senator Kennedy saying the economy will collapse if it's closed until COVID-19 cases are gone. And I've mentioned this before in a previous video about it's not just economy, but it's society. Lockdown is the world's biggest psychological experiment, and we will pay the price. That's right, it's like the first time we're actually quarantining healthy people instead of just the sick people. COVID-19 crisis takes a toll on Americans' mental health. It says it will result in a secondary epidemic of burnouts and stress-related absenteeism in the later half of 2020. I have a little chart here, the size of the coronavirus lockdowns, and here's us at 297 million people. Some of the symptoms are psychological stress and disorder, including low mood. I'm not sure what that means. A bad mood, sad mood, insomnia, stress, anxiety, anger, irritability, emotional exhaustion, depression, and post-traumatic stress symptoms. Low mood and irritability stood out as the most common. Something interesting too, it said that 28% of quarantine parents warranted a diagnosis of trauma-related mental health disorders. And some of this info comes out from China, and that it says that 10% reported high depressive symptoms up to 3 years after being quarantined, so for some of the hospital staff. Depression and anxiety spiked after lockdown announcement, just after the announcement, says a health study. I don't know why they put this in here, but 70% of people would definitely choose to have a vaccine or have their children vaccinated against coronavirus if one was developed. I guess they're saying maybe if they had one, they would rather do that. So take your vaccine or be in lockdown, but they're actually, the authorities and all these people are saying the same thing anyways, right? They're saying that we're going to have this lockdown for months, 18 months, a year and a half, until a vaccine is developed. And this was just after they announced the lockdown on March 23rd. I remember it was like March 16th, March 17th, somewhere around then. When I first heard about it, and I was traveling to go see some family for the weekend, and I was in a good mood, and just talking to them, I could tell that they were like in fear, and from what they were saying about different measures being taking place, I was like, I wasn't really taking it serious. I didn't think it was going to go as far as what it did. But it hit me really fast just from talking on the phone that like this is gonna have a huge impact on society. I told them that. I was like, this right here, I mean, it's bad enough that people have a problem communicating in public and they're glued to their phones and they'll just sit there. I've literally saw people texting each other in a car. They were both in the same car together texting each other. And this is gonna make it worse. And maybe that's the point. But I definitely felt something right off the bat when everything started shutting down. Gyms start, you can't go work out. It's just all this stuff. And I was like, it did kind of affect me a little bit. I started to, I don't know, it's like a dark cloud just kind of hanging over everything. And it's still there right now. So, moving on here, and I'm going to get back to the economy. But it's just like I saw an article about Trump meeting up with industrial leaders about, economic industrial leaders about reopening. And it's nothing against Trump or anything. He's doing what he's got to do. But, maybe he should go around and visit all the people and see how the hell they're doing during all of this, It's always the economy first, and trust me, I think it's important to get the economy back on and ending the lockdown. But he can go around and talk to different people, different groups, and small businesses and stuff like that. But he's going to meet with fucking Walmart and GE and all these big companies, and same ones that are getting all of these bailouts. All the ones that have put little X's on the floors and checkout lines and, just gone along with the whole thing with the social distancing. which is basically conditioning and programming Americans in society. He can go around and talk to those people like those doctors out in California that are saying, the numbers don't add up, and we really need to end this lockdown and stuff. The infection rate was a lot higher, the death rate's a lot lower, it's not as bad as what we thought. But it's big business first, and that was kind of the point I want to make before I forget. With this whole thing with the stimulus packages and that, you have three things going on. One is, who's going to benefit from this? It's going to be the Federal Reserve, it's going to be banks. I just mentioned that in the last video about them making a lot of money and profits. The second is, it's going to kill smaller businesses, smaller to medium-sized businesses. They're not going to recover from this, which is good. It eliminates their competition. Also, it's going to lower the value of things, the prices of things. So just like 2008, and just like many other times where big business and these globalists can go in and buy things up, like Warren Buffett. I was going to say Jimmy Buffett. Warren Buffett can go in and buy things really cheap. So they purposely will say everything's falling apart. So I don't want to say that everything's going to collapse, because I've heard that a million times. But they could be purposely doing this so that they can go in and buy things cheaper. Okay, so back to what I was saying about you were talking about the economy breaking down, society breaking down. Americans are drinking crazy amounts of alcohol during the coronavirus lockdown. And this was actually a little less than a week after the lockdown started in March. The sales of alcoholic beverages rose 55%. Hard alcohol such as gin, tequila, and pre-mixed cocktails is on the top list. Wine sales up 66% and beer sales up 42%. Experts hasten to head off mental health crisis. And how are they going to do that? They're just going to give you a bunch of pharmaceutical pills. And I remember when I saw this article, I thought it was pretty cool. But this was from March 19th. So again, this is like pretty much around day one. March 17th, I think, was officially when they started shutting things down here in Indiana. But the girl from Lost, the girl Kate from Lost, the actor, she actually went out in public. I guess she was saying this right off the bat, which was really brave of her, because at the time everybody was freaking out and they were all for the lockdown and everything, social distancing. She says that she won't self-isolate and suggests that coronavirus is a hoax. I guess she was slammed in the comments section as irresponsible. One woman pleaded with actors to stay home and flatten the curve and save lives. And we have small business owners taking back their rights and defying orders to stay closed. So nail salon owners and stuff. So small businesses just opening up. We have protesters out defying social distancing laws and protesting the lockdown. And all these things are recommendations. They're not actual... Well, some of them are, I guess. Wearing the mask. You have to wear a mask or something like that. But most of them are recommendations. And... So they can't really make you not be able to travel somewhere. They're all just willingly doing it out of fear that they're gonna make it worse. My point is that if you just go along with it, these bastards will keep this going and make it worse for as long as they possibly can. I think it was de Blasio or something that said something that we can't keep so many million people locked in their homes. So they know this, and they know that there's a certain breaking point of people in society in America and that. But it is a test. It is a live exercise, like Pompeo says, or said. It is a psychological experiment that our social engineers are carrying out. And like everything else, it creates a divide in society in America. Those who are on the side of the government and authorities and the experts. And me, for one, I don't trust the experts, and I never have. A good example is my parents. I drove 2 hours to drop off a doggy bed for their dog, for their pet, who had just had surgery. And I thought it'd be a nice present for it. And so I drove out there thinking I would at least be able to hang out for a while, then head back home. I get there and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom and stuff. And go up to the door, I got the bed, the dog's treats. Like, so you guys gonna let me in? I gotta go to the bathroom, man. And they're like, just inside, all locked in. And they're like, no, you can't, you can't come in. And there was a little chair outside the door for me to, I guess I'm supposed to sit in. I'm like, you guys serious? You're not gonna let me in? And basically I just kind of left at that point. I was only there for not even 5 minutes. And I'm like, so he said something about, I listened to my stepdad. I was like, I listened to what the governor says. And I'm like, so I was like, this could go on for like months, even into next year. Are you willing to stay locked into your house that long? And for the most part, they pretty much said yes, which is scary. So it's not just on society, it's families as well. And unfortunately, my sister, she's the same way. She's really liberal and she's cool and everything, but she's totally on board with all this stuff, that all the measures are justified. So Bill Gates said something about, when this lockdown ends, people are still going to be frantic because they've had the shit scared out of them by the media. And they're going to be reluctant to go out to things like a movie theater and stuff. Risk of being infected. Talking about oil prices and getting people to go out and start spending after the lockdown ends, one analysis said the government can declare whatever they want in terms of encouraging people to get out and do stuff, i.e. spend. Whether or not broad swaths of the society do that remains to be seen. It's going to take seeing people starting to get out and do stuff again. That will be a necessary positive development, not just declaring to get things open. Just talking about the herd mentality. If you've noticed the oil prices collapsed. It's another sign that economic activity is crashing dramatically all over the world. It says that this oil for May delivery fell more than 100% to settle at negative $37 per barrel. They said it's never happened before, meaning producers would pay traders to take the oil off their hands. Thanks to the lockdowns, global demand for oil has dropped to levels that are unprecedented. And it says that the amount that's being produced is far greater than the amount that the world can use right now. Storage space has been rapidly running out. Then we have famines and meat shortages and food shortages, and that's the big news in this video. It's saying it everywhere. Coronavirus, world risk biblical famines due to pandemic. Pandemic could cause famines of biblical proportions. An additional 130 million people could be pushed into the brink of starvation. Global food supply chains begin to erode as crisis looms. The food supply chain is breaking, and we are warned that meat shortages are imminent. Australians risk shortage of basic grocery items amid coronavirus. This is actually from today, but I've already heard about this over the weekend. Tyson Foods warns food supply chain is breaking. At least a third of the meatpacking facilities handling hogs have shifted offline. Other plants that process cows and chickens have also shut, forcing farmers to cull herds and flocks. It says that plant closure diminishes the ability for a farmer to sell animals at the market and leaves them with overcapacity issues similar to the turmoil facing the oil industry. So talking about the oil industry and being at a negative price, it said food producers have a similar option, just killing their livestock. It says that this could spark a shortage of meat at the grocery stores as soon as the first week of May. So there's I think 4 main companies that handle the majority of the food supply, which is kind of effed up and it shouldn't be that way. But one of them, Smithfield, said, during this pandemic, our entire industry is faced with an impossible choice. Continue to operate to sustain our nation's food supply or shut down in an attempt to entirely insulate our employees from risk. So you have dairy farmers pouring milk down the drain, produce farmers destroying their crops, and this is all due to the fear of COVID-19. Not actual people dying. Who benefits? People who promote depopulation. Bill Gates worked to end livestock production while pushing lab-grown meat. The case for plant-based food. The artificial egg made by plants backed by Bill Gates. This has been going on for a while. Coincidental that we're all getting these $1,200 checks while the Pope is endorsing universal basic income. Americans are scared to go back to work and lose their unemployment. Thank you.